The Testament of Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. The copy of the words of Judah, what things he spake to his sons before he died. They gathered themselves together, therefore, and came to him, and he said to them, Hearken, my children, to Judah your father. I was the fourth son born to my father Jacob, and Leah, my mother, named me Judah, saying, I give thanks to the Lord, because he hath given me a fourth son also. I was swift in my youth, and obedient to my father in everything, and I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it came to pass, when I became a man, that my father blessed me, saying, Thou shalt be a king, prospering in all things. Chapter 2. And the Lord showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. I know that I raised a hind and caught it, and prepared the meat for my father, and he did eat. And the roes I used to master in the chase, and overtake all that was in the plains. A wild mare I overtook, and caught it, and tamed it. I slew a lion, and plucked a kid out of its mouth. I took a bear by its paw, and hurled it down the cliff, and it was crushed. I outran the wild boar, and seizing it, as I ran, I tore it in sunder. A leopard in Hebron leaped upon my dog, and I caught it by the tail, and hurled it on the rocks, and it was broken in twain. I found a wild ox feeding in the fields, and seizing it by the horns, and whirling it round, and stunning it, I cast it from me and slew it. Chapter 3. And when the 2 kings of the Canaanites came sheathed in armor against our flocks, and much people with them, single-handed, I rushed upon the king of Hazor, and smote him on the greaves, and dragged him down, and so I slew him. And the other, the king of Tappuah, as he sat upon his horse, I slew, and so I scattered all his people. Achor the king, a man of giant stature, I found, hurling javelins before and behind as he sat on horseback. And I took up a stone of 60 pounds weight, and hurled it, and smote his horse, and killed it. And I fought with this other for 2 hours, and I clave his shield in twain, and I chopped off his feet, and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, behold, 9 men, his companions, began to fight with me. And I wound my garment on my hand, and I slung stones at them, and killed 4 of them, and the rest fled. And Jacob, my father, slew Beelisath, king of all the kings, a giant strength, 12 cubits high. And fear fell upon them, and they ceased warring against us. Therefore my father was free from anxiety in the wars when I was with my brethren. For he saw in a vision concerning me that an angel of might followed me everywhere, that I should not be overcome. Chapter 4. And in the south there came upon us a greater war than in Shechem. And I joined in battle array with my brethren, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew of them 200 men, and 4 kings. And I went up upon the wall, and I slew 4 mighty men, and so we captured Hazor, and took all the spoil. Chapter 5. On the next day we departed to Aratan, a city strong and walled and inaccessible, threatening us with death. But I and Gad approached on the east side of the city, and Ben and Levi on the west. And they that were upon the wall, thinking that we were alone, were drawn down against us. And so my brothers secretly climbed up the wall on both sides by stakes, and entered the city, while the men knew it not. And we took it with the edge of the sword. And as for those who had taken refuge in the tower, we set fire to the tower, and took both it and them. And as we were departing, the men of Tappuah set upon our spoil, and delivering it up to our sons, we fought with them as far as Tappuah. And we slew them and burnt their city, and took as spoil all that was in it. Chapter 6. And when I was at the waters of Kozeba, the men of Jobel came against us to battle, and we fought with them and routed them. And their allies from Shiloh we slew, and we did not leave them power to come in against us. And the men of Machir came upon us the 5th day to seize our spoil, and we attacked them and overcame them in fierce battle, for there was a host of mighty men amongst them, and we slew them before they had gone up the ascent. And when we came to their city, their women rolled upon us stones from the brow of the hill on which the city stood. And I and Simeon hid ourselves behind the town, and seized upon the heights, and destroyed this city also. Chapter 7. And the next day it was told us that the king of the city of Gaash with a mighty host was coming against us. I therefore, and Dan, feigned ourselves to be Amorites, and as allies went into their city. And in the depth of night our brethren came, and we opened to them the gates, and we destroyed all the men and their substance, and we took for a prey all that was theirs, and their 3 walls we cast down. And we drew near to Thamnah, where was all the substance of the hostile kings. Then being insulted by them, I was therefore wroth, and rushed against them to the summit. And they kept slinging against me stones and darts, and had not Dan my brother aided me, they would have slain me. We came upon them therefore with wrath, and they all fled. And passing by another way, they besought my father, and he made peace with them. And we did to them no hurt, and they became tributary to us, and we restored to them their spoil. And I built Thamnah, and my father built Pabael. I was 20 years old when this war befell, and the Canaanites feared me and my brethren. Chapter 8. And I had much cattle, and I had for chief herdsman Iram the Adulamite. And when I went to him, I saw Parsaba, king of Adulam. And he spake unto us, and he made us a feast. And when I was heated, he gave me his daughter, Bathsua, to wife. She bare me and Onan, and Shelah. And 2 of them the Lord smote, for Shelah lived, and his children are ye. Chapter 9. And 18 years my father abode in peace.
Aman, Shalom, Mashpaka. Shalom. I'm about to get started in a few minutes. I'm just testing out my mic. All right, is it sounding all right, or does it sound like I'm doubling, family? If my mic is doubling, I can't tell. Oh, thank you, Sister Privacy. I don't know how to put y'all up on the thing on this one. I'm on OBS today. All right, let me move over here. Let me see. Y'all let me know if my mic sound all right, or is it doubling? Oh, okay, so it don't sound like it's doubling in sound quality. Let me see. I'm finna go to the, let me see what's going on, if it is. Just making sure. All right, that one is on. That one is on. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm finna just take a chance, Mashpaka, with y'all on this one. All right, let me turn that down a little bit. Testing 1, 2, and 3. Test 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's do this. All right. So I got some things I want to share with y'all today. All right. And the topic of today's video. The topic of today's video is Behold the Creator of Race. And y'all see that right there? What they got up there on what I got on the screen for you? That's a branding iron right there. That's a branding iron right there. And so you see it got the name initials on there. That was the initials of whatever slave master. So slave masters had their own branding iron. They would brand their animals with it, and also they would brand their slaves with the iron. So if the name of the slave master was Jacobson, then they would brand their slaves as Jacobson. If the name of the slave master was Philip, they would, put their name on there. Philipson, Philip's son. You have a father, and your father has the slave master name. How is all these people who are have the name of a slave master, but they don't have their own name? All right, and so a lot of us, we don't see a problem when it come down to race. We don't see a problem of what's been going on. We just going along with the flow. But I'm gonna let me open up something for you real quick so you can look at what I'm talking about today. All right. This right here is called historical race concepts, because there have been some people that's been treating us like we created race doctrine. So what I want to do today is go in here to defend our brothers and sisters who've been trying to teach people about what's going on with us. And this right here is called historical race concepts. All right, and it reads right here, it say, the concept of race as categorized of anatomical modern humans, Homo sapiens. Y'all remember I did a lesson on the Homo sapien. The Homo sapien mean apes. And then they give you the picture right there for y'all can look at. So let me click on the picture for y'all. So what they saying, Homo sapiens. Humans or modern humans are the most common and widespread species of primate. Y'all remember what a primate is? I know y'all do. And the last surviving species of the genus genus Homo. They are great apes. See, it said right there in the literature, they telling y'all what Homo sapiens is. Categorized by their hairlessness, bipedal, I don't know what that means, and how to sound it out. High intelligence, humans have large brains and able to more advanced. See, look who they put right there for the primate. Now, as you can see, they have some melanin in their skin. All right, and you see all right. Now what is this right here? What they talking about anatomically modern humans? What's this right here? What they say modern human? Because if you saying you got a modern human, then you mean you got an older human, and that don't make no sense. And I'll show you why. It's a early modern human, EMH, or anatomically modern humans, AMH, I just say that, AMH, are terms used to distinguish Homo sapiens that are AMH, consistent with the range of phenotypes seen in the contemporary humans from extinct archaic human species. This distinction is useful. Now, there is no middle link of what they call as human. And when we look at race in English, race can mean you race it down the road, right? Now, my question was, why do they say race? Let's see. Race is categorized of humans based on the shared physical or social qualities into groups generally viewed as distinct within a given society. The term came into common use during the 16th century during slavery, when they was catching us. when it was used to refer to groups of various kinds. So they knew the groups of various kinds, including those characterized by close kinship relations. All right. Now, I want y'all to know that they knew during slavery, they knew who the Negro was, and they knew who the people that they call Hamites was. They knew all of that, and I have the proof of that. King James Version was published in 1600. Slavery was going on in the 1600, and the King James Version dictionary says, inside of the King James Version, the one they use to translate it, it says about who the Hamite is, and it also says the Scrolls. It also says who the Shemites is, and it also says who the Japhethite is. All right, and it gives you an understanding about Shem when it tell you about Ham. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But let me go ahead and finish reading a little bit of this. Scientific racism. And when we say that people is being racist, they're classifying people by color. So when you look at an application on a job, they showing you they got white, black, and they used to have yellow and whatever, but now they got white, black, and you may see on some application Jewish. So there's not races on there. There's either beliefs, and they give you an option to write down there of what on some application they give you an option to write what you want, or you could put on there choose not to answer, and in those cases you still may not get a call back, because if you as a person that's ashamed of sharing your race, I mean, they may consider you as somebody that's just trying to get a job, considering yourself as a human. But under the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment, you are not considered as human, but you're considered as property, seeing that they didn't pay the people who built the country by free labor. They didn't pay us reparation. They paid it to the slave masters, because they took the places where they had took us from. So what the slave masters did, they had to release us because of what Abraham Lincoln signed. And then after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, they took the lands that was given to the slave, gave it back to the state, and then they paid the old slave masters reparations for the state and the slaves. So now the state owns the slave. So now when they making choices for you in the Senate and all these places, they making decisions for you because they purchased us from the slave masters, the local slave master. And now when you look at, they have local prisons. So there are locals who build prisons, and then the top slave masters send them money, and they pay it to the prisons to build up the prison. And also they also give, when Joe Biden signed that 94 crime bill, they gave Joe Biden gave them the ability, he gave them the go ahead and capture these people and put them back on the plantation. All right. So when you look at the current situation of Negroes and they tell you that slavery is over with, look, it say right here, it says nation. A nation is a large type of social organization. This is their definition of it now, where a collective identity has emerged from a combination of shared features across a given population. So when there was Hamite, I'm going to say it like they say it in English, when it was Hamite and Shemite and Japhethite living in one place, they all called themselves one thing. Now, let me read this right here. Identity has emerged from a combination of shared. I'm trying my best not to talk rough because that's how I talk. And I'm not trying to be mean when my voice coming out, I push out of my stomach. I push out of my chest when I'm talking And if I'm not pushing out of my chest when I'm speaking, a lot of my words won't properly come through. So sometimes you may hear me, but don't think that I'm trying to be wroth or angry with y'all, all right? But it say right here, identity has emerged from a combination of shared features like dark skin or the color of your hair or the texture of your hair or whatever. So this is what they saying now. Remember, they put it on the application, white, black, and then they'll put on the, are you Hispanic? Thank you, sister. But they put on the, are you Hispanic? So they acknowledge those races. Think about it. The Spain and Portugal put us over here as slaves. So when they put on the application, are you Hispanic? Do you have Hispanic origins? They may even put on there, do you have Portuguese origins? But in the North America, they put, are you Hispanic or black? Yaquaba, which company, family, person did GHC brand belong to? GAC. I'll get into that, sister. I'm gonna have to go back over that. Is that something I read? Let me see. And Shalom, Ak Moshe Ben Yehuda, Sister Naomi, Private C, Mother April Showers. That's all I saw. So if I didn't call your name, if you just give a thumbs up or something in the chat, put a small thumbs up or a heart or something in the chat, and then I'll be able to salute you. If you feel like I'm trying to ignore you, I'm not Mashpaka. But I'm finna go to see what the sister was saying about the GAC, my bad. That's exactly how we are supposed to speak, from the diagram and not the throat. Okay, thank you, Sister Privacy. And you know, when you singing in your head voice, a lot of people talk in head voice. What you was talking about, Sister Privacy. A lot of people talk in their head voice when they get angry or get excited or whatever. A lot of people talk in their head voice, or when they feeling happy. People just go into their head voice. But you're right. We're supposed to talk out of our diagram, out of our stomach. And when we learn how to push out of our diagram, out of our stomach, and through our head voice, that's where you hear people that know how to hit them real high notes. Like, it take a lot of practice, or some people is just born with it. You know, they can hear it and they can feel it before they sing it. When I say feel it, I don't want to go too deep into that. I'll talk to y'all about that one day, probably in the future, if y'all willing. But let me see. I think it was the Homo sapiens, sister. The species. So there was this guy, this racist guy that brother Moshe Ben Yehuda was bringing up, how he had separated the races of people because of the differences of how they look. And then we get down to these days, the people act like history never happened. So they start blaming people that's talking about history as if they is creating historical stuff when it is in their history book. All they got to do is either pay attention in school, open up a book, open up a dictionary, open up an encyclopedia, Britannica, open up an encyclopedia, get you a Bible and read it now. It'll tell you about what's going on in these days right here. All they got to do is pick up a Bible and read it. That's all they got to do. But a lot of people refuse to pick up a Bible and read it. Now, here we go right here with this. Now, this right here, these are monkey skulls, right? There's a little small monkey. We see them in Africa and in zoos. There's a monkey right here. There's a monkey. And then they put a human skull there to try to justify their creation of human race. Now, remember, we under a new kingdom. So for the kingdom that we left from under, we did not see Adam as this right here, as you see in the book that they took out of the land that we was at, in the place that they called us when they called us Canaan and they called us Libyans. because we was taken, and Libya is another part of our inheritance. Moshe, exactly. I'm gonna read out what you said, sister, because I don't know how to post it up on here, but I'm finna read what you say. Exactly, Kwaba, you sound perfect. It's called vocal support. Thank you, sister. But it say right here, biological anthropology, also known as physical anthropology. And I learned this when I was in elementary school. My science teacher, and the first person that was teaching us this was just our teacher in the classroom. They just opened up the book, and we all had to take the Darwin's class thing. I don't know if they still doing that now, but this is what they was teaching. It's a biological anthropology, also known as physical anthropology. And I used to watch History Channel, Nature Channel. That's what I used to watch all night, every day, until if cartoons ain't on. Is a scientific discipline concerned with the biological and behavioral aspects of human beings. So when you training an animal, right? And so if you training a gorilla to be domesticated, they train, you know how they train the tiger or a lion to domesticate him? He's out of his natural place, out of his natural, he's not doing what he was created to do, so he's not hunting. So they feeding him meat, so he'll be full enough where he won't bite you. They brought animals out to the school, and you able to pet the tiger and pet the lion, and if he ain't eating that, then they leave him locked in the cage, and they may put a sign up, don't go over there. He ain't ate nothing. They domesticated, they tame alligators, they tame snakes before. Everything on earth can be tamed except the person's tongue. And what is the part of the body that was used to open up their mouth and lie and tell people about a creation story that never happened? It says biological and behavioral aspects of human beings, their extinct humane ancestors, and related non-human primates, particular from evolutionary prospects. So what they saying is that Negroes was on a lower frequency scale. So Negroes was still serving them. Now I ask you a question, Mashpaka. If Negroes was supposed to be slaves because they was made slaves by people who said that we were supposed to be slaves because of our nature of knowing how to serve and all that, and Ham was fighting against us to catch us, to bring us into slavery, along with some of the other, what they call Shemitic tribes, to catch us and bring us into slavery. Those people were joining together to do it. So I want to ask you this: why did they not enslave the people who also was the descendants of Abraham? Why was they allowing the other Ibar people to aid in catching us and getting us? Why did somebody was bringing out earlier, I believe it was a sister, that the Ashkenazim knew who the Yahudim was, and they knew who they was. You know, when they looking through Africa, they found the limber. They know how to read the books. A lot of them got together after they had learned how to speak ancient Hebrew when they went down there to the continent. It's in your history. All you got to do is look up AD, sometime around the 1400. One of their ancestors went down there to Africa and learned how to speak Paleo Hebrew from the natives down there, and then they came back and enslaved the people around that same time. And the first people that they enslaved, they had it in the history on Google as they was the Sarfadic, the Sarfardine. Then when you go back and check it, they changed it up. So these videos that we're making are very important. because it shows you documents of things before they changing them. Now look at here, because I don't know if they're going to change this. Biological anthropology, also known as physical anthropology, is a scientific discipline concerned with the biological and behavior aspects of human beings. Remember, that means Homo sapiens, apes, hairless apes, their extinct humane ancestors, and related non-human primates, particularly from an evolutionary perspective. So if you could count man, Adam, not from Adam, but counting him from an ape, and then you're using the differences in the person's body, they genome makeup and all that, and how they act, you're not basing them off of Adam. You're not basing them off of Ayash and Asha. You're basing them off of animals. Bahama. You're basing them off of the place that they call the people. All right. I wonder why people down there in the Caribbean islands did they name that place Bahama, because that means beast in ancient Hebrew. And I know that they spoke ancient Hebrew because they put Bahamas. Why did they put that? I think I need to ask them that. And I've been waiting to see if somebody from the Bahamas will answer that question. Non-human primates. Now look now. So they say non-human primate. They say they was the superior race. They was the evolutionary race. How can you be evolutionary when you need the sun? When the sun will scorch you. So you go to a place where they was there already. Go and conquer that land. Take the name thereof and everything. Yet it's still and call yourself by the name of that person like they did. And then turn around and say you can't inherit it because you're ape, but the apes is still running around over there. How come they ain't grab no gorilla or one of them chimpanzees? They been still trying to train how to put the box inside of the square, and the square inside of the, that's not a square, that's not a box. How come they ain't get one of them and put them on the plantation to be slaves? Is they trying to train them? It's taking them a long time to train the ape. The American Association of Biological Anthropologists, AABA, look them up. That's a real place and a real company, is an internal group based in the United States which affirms itself as a professional, they serious about what they believe, society. This is not something that Negroes made up and trying to classify people. We're trying to tell y'all this is their religion that they practicing over here. And they practice it wherever they go because they have a mindset to believe that people came from colors. And if you want to help the Gentiles, or a lot of y'all say that y'all love Gentiles, why y'all won't tell them the truth? Because if you tell them the truth, then they won't be in darkness in their mind. And a lot of them is not in blindness that's doing this stuff. But the children is raised up to believe that this is what it is. How else can you get people to put their soul in jeopardy to go to the lake of fire and then be cast in the bottomless pit? How else can you get people to do themselves in like that by getting them to believe in something that is against reality? How else can you do that but to brainwash them? And how else can you get people to do that? You got to first take down the nation that was telling them the truth. You got to first take down, you got to attack this nation like crazy. So the first wars that they came down when Europe came down, they did not go in deep down in Africa. First they went and visited, and then they went over there. They knocked off the Kemet rulership. And who else did they came after that? Then they came right on up to Judah. They came up to Judah. All right? Because Israel was already taken down. So they was aware. Well, I don't know if Israel was taken down. Was they yet? We'll get into that sometime later. And if y'all willing, y'all can go and look up Pastor Kelly. I'm pretty sure he'll tell you about when the northern tribe. But the northern tribe did go first. They did not come down and get us first. So the northern tribe went first in the last day. Then they came down and they got us. We was the last one to leave. All right. So when you look at this situation here, they was not attacking they was not attacking Ham. Read it, it's in the Bible. Rome, Italy, was attacking the nation that they call Ethiopia. In their history book, Ethiopia. Because when you look on their old maps, it says Ethiopia. But when they talked to us, they knew who we were. Because even inside of their literature, a lot of them were saying Yahudim, Libyans. So they had different names on how they called us. So anthropologists, the organization publishes the American Journal of Biological Anthropology, a peer-reviewed science. All right? And they said they had a one-drop rule. The one-drop rule stated the belief in race, and it's dangerous to believe like this because in the process of them making your life a living hell, they damning their soul to eternal fire. And they doing it all out of what they believe to be true. The belief in races as a natural aspect of human biology and in the structures of inequality, racism, there's still an office here. That's why you look on your paper and you see white, black, that emerge from such beliefs are among the most damaging elements in the human experience both today and in the past. And did y'all know when they was inviting Ham to come over here and the other nations that was not enslaved, they gave them the option to put on their application white, but yet and still they did not allow us to put on our application white? Do you notice that when the Haitians were brought over here, when they immigrated over here, back over here, did you know that they had to put on their application Creole or black? They could put on there. And then on the plantation, when you see the Creole people, they still paying slave masters. When you go down there to Puerto Rico, they not running really. The slave caste is not really running Puerto Rico. The slave caste is not really running Mexico. Think about that. Because if they was, wouldn't we all be going back home? The slave class is not running the Europe. So if you put on your application, I am Puerto Rican, in this country you may feel like you doing something. If you put on there, I'm Afro-Hispanic, or if I put on there, I'm this, I'm that, I could put on my application, I'm Afro-Spanish, because Florida and Georgia, and I believe also Texas, was a part, it was belonging to the Mexican. Spain. So can't Negroes in America say, okay, I'm Afro-Hispanic then? But we don't do that. We say, I am Negro. Why do we do that? What is something that Negroes knew? What is something that the other part of our tribe knew? Don't you know that we spoke Arabic, and we spoke Phoenician Hebrew, and we spoke Assyrian? Because that's the areas where they took us. That's why they was calling us Canaan, because they took us from the land that they called Canaan. Now, then they called us Negroes. Now, when we was taken from, and I did a video on that the other day, when we left from there, Spain and Portugal allowed us to come in their land. And then they kicked us out of there. And we went to Sao Tome, West Africa, South Africa, different places. And then they had slave catchers to come from tribes that they knew who they was, unless, why would they have aid from tribes if they was just coming for every tribe? They would have just grabbed any one they saw. But they say in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary that was the book was published in the 1600, but they was studying the language, I believe, in the 1400s. So when they studied the language in the 1400s, they found people that spoke the language of the people. They used what they believed against them. And they enslaved those people, who they called Canaanites. Now it says that emerged from such beliefs. And guess who funded the whole thing? Guess who was the big boss over it all? Ashkenazim. That merged from such beliefs. So when you believe that we came from animals, and if you don't believe me that the Ashkenazim did it, go and check in my other videos, and you will see who was a part of the transatlantic slave trade war. Are among the most damaging elements in the human experience both today and in the past. So even though they acknowledge it, they still saying Homo sapien experience. Because they said human, and that's where they come from. Homo sapien. Etymology. The word race interpreted to mean an identifiable group of people who share a common descent. Listen here. Race. When you was in school, when we said on your march, get set, go. That's what I used to think race meant. And it does. According to what I thought. But you got to remember that English, we speak in a language that we do not really understand. This is not our native tongue. Because when we saw the thing, it operate how it operate. This is how it is. So when we say race, we probably was, what that brother named Darak. Darak mean run, I think. The brother named Darak Abar, y'all can check out his music too. He got fire music. But yeah, race, we think it mean run. A lot of us. Or we think that, well, they just making this up. Black people just making up stuff to make something up. But no, the word race in this language that we do not understand, interpreted. What do this mean, Negroes? Interpreted. When they come down to the Bible, race interpreted to mean an identifiable group of people. And it's sad that Negroes don't even know how to count to 3. A lot of us don't even know how to count to 3 in our mother tongue. But we feel so privileged when we go inside of these big high class colleges and can count to 1 trillion. But we can't even count to 3. A lot of us probably can't even count to 1 in our native tongue. And we hold so much pride in these schools to mean an unidentifiable group. A lot of us don't even know how all of the animals looked at our ancestors that was our ancestors. We don't even know, a lot of us don't even know how they look. Now check this out. Who share a common descent. So it can show you who was the one that they made the big bad enemy. Is the Negro. And we know that because we was the one they were catching. They was catching Negroes. They was not catching Hamites. Because they told you inside of their literature that Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Libyans. Remember, Libya was right there. The Canaanite, remember Canaan was right there. Over there, the Canaanite, he said the translators say they not the Israelites. So even the ones that translated your scrolls said that the Canaanite, you not no Canaanite, but they called you a Canaanite. And they tell you why they call you a Canaanite. Because they said that the people who lived in that area were all called Canaan. And I have the videos up there for y'all can see them. So the people who lived in that area were all called Canaan. I'm trying to give you the evidence by looking at and reading. We're reading this, family. So when they say that they call you Canaan, and Shalom, Sister Shayla, but they called you Canaan, so that's showing you that they tell you that you were called Canaan, but you are not no Canaanite. You're not no Cushim. You're not no Cushite. You're not Libyans. You're not Put. You're not now one of them. They telling you when you read the Bible, when you reading it, not just looking at it and going off of what you think it should be, but reading what it's really saying to you, reading the information. Like I can learn in school, they was telling us we got multiplication, and they said, okay, you got to learn these multiplications by heart. And I was trying to figure out, okay, 5 times 5 is 25. Why is it 25? So I wanted to read the multiplication. I didn't want to just memorize the multiplication. I wanted to know how is green made. I wanted to know how is gray made. So what I did, how to make gray, I learned that you take a black and you take a white and you mix it together just right. And then you come out with a gray color. You see? And you can learn that if you turn on the, so it's good for y'all that a lot of y'all is into art and crafts. So if you never really thought about this, you want to know how to read the color, because that's what our language was. Our language was not built on like English. Our language was see how it functions, see how it move. Araya. Why was a lion named Araya? You see what I'm saying? Raya. Raya. See that? Head. It has a ra in it. Ayana. It can see real good. Ya. And ya can mean he or my. So you go into and look inside of all this. Araya. Ayana. Ayana. When he said I'm or Ayana. See that? And it says, and they did it, and look, they did us through racial class, who you is as a person, biological, how you speak, your languages, you being close in proximity. So they grabbed the one that they called the species that was good enough for the test. So they knew who they was grabbing. They was grabbing the people they was studying before 2,000 years ago when they came down there with their first person that sat upon the throne. All right, ABC. This is the ABC of genetics. It's the study of genes. They don't teach you like this so you can know who you is at school, probably because a lot of them didn't know. And heredity and organism, but I had a teacher that told me. She said, y'all are the true Jews. The Jews hated Christians. They hated Christianity because Christianity was an enemy of their faith. And I didn't understand that. And I said, who is the Jews? She said, you. Your people is the Jews. And I learned that. And I'm not going to tell you what grade I was in, because the school board may look back and say, okay, that was that grade. That's that teacher. All right, let's go ahead and get up out of here. No, I'm not finna do that. So I'm going to show you by showing you this work right here. It says it is an important branch. If that teacher want to come out and say something, she has the right to do so. Branch in biology, because heredity is vital to organism evolution. Gregor Mendel, and we wasn't mixing like they said we was mixing in Ophir. No, we weren't doing that in the land they call Ophir, the Gold Coast. Ophir, Gold Coast. Think about that. So we weren't mixing and all that because we had laws, statutes, and commandments that we kept. Even Ham wasn't mixing with us like that. If you go and try to holler at a lot of Ethiopians will tell you that they don't even like black people. They don't like Igbos. They don't like Evas like that. You know, they don't marry them culturally. But a lot of them, they may marry. Some of them may. But culturally, that's not their cultural practice. And all of us had our own cultural practices. That's why when they came down there, they were able to find the exact people they was looking for when they came down there 2,000 years ago. Because Ham, Sham, Wayapath knew who they was. And they say right here, the word race interpreted to mean an identifiable group of people who share a common descent. So when they said that we shared a common descent, they said the Negro race is not no Hamite, because they knew who we was. They said they not Japheth. Whew, you know they said we not Japheth. And you know that they said that we not the ones that was catching us. That was just a play on words. Because they already told you. And it says ancestors of two or more species later in time, so they called us species. Alright. So now I think this one will do it for that. And let me go to the next graph for you, Mashpaka. Now we're gonna look at this here. We're gonna look closer at this here Willie Lynch. We're gonna look closer at this Willie Lynch thing. Alright. So we're going to Willie. We're gonna look at Willie Lynch speech, and there's more inside of that, Mashpaka, and I really want y'all to go and research this stuff, and I'm gonna try to share them with y'all in the community tab. So let me go back to the other one. Let me share it with you, Mashpaka. So hold on while I get this ready. Let me share this with you. I believe Pastor Kelly, he wants us to start sharing our links. So I'm going to do that because that's my pastor, and he said he liked to share his link, so I need to follow his example and share the link. All right. So let me go down here. Mashpaka, don't forget to if you haven't already shared, make sure you share the broadcast so that the channel can grow. Okay? So this one here, that was race, the etymology of race. So let me go ahead and share that. Let me see. My bad. And I went to somewhere else. So let me go here. I think it's here. That's how you share it. Let me see. Oh. Let me see. I thought I know how to share it. I don't know why I'm not sharing it properly. Let's see. There we go. All right. There we go. Copy. Boom. There we go. All right, Mashpaka, and that one right there is for the race. There you go. Y'all can make sure y'all save that, all right? All right. Now let me get back to where I'm at. Okay, Mashpaka. So now we're going back to the gender. All right. Oh, okay. Not gender. Right here. So right here, let's go here. Mashpaka. So where am I? All right. Symbol. No, I wasn't there. My bad. But I should go ahead and read. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. Let's go here. I don't know where. And I throwed myself off, huh? Hold on. Let me get myself together. Where we at now? Where we at? Willie Lynch. There we go. Willie Lynch. There we go. Thank y'all for being patient. But I had to share that link for you. Alright. So let me go to Willie. There go Willie. Alright. The Willie Lynch speech. And that was a real guy. Willie Lynch was a real guy. They'll lie to you and tell you he wasn't. Just like they'll lie to you and tell you that we all came from monkeys. But we know that that is not true. All right. And I want to say Shalom, Ox Skeletor. Thank you for coming in today, brother. All right. So we got William Lynch. And if your last name is Williams, if your slave master put a brand on you and put you in slavery, and you was a William from Williamson, that means you William's son now. You ain't your daddy's son no more. But let's go on and read about the Willie Lynch syndrome. William Lynch speech, also known as the Willie Lynch letter, is an address purportedly delivered by a William Lynch or Willie Lynch to an audience on the bank of the James River in Virginia. Now you see that flag right there? That's the Confederates. And it says the colony of Virginia was an English, later British colonial settlement in North America between 1606 and 1776. Look at here. 1606, slavery was going on. 1776. So if they telling you that slavery started in 1619, then they're not being honest with you. Because look right here, colony of Virginia. So that means slavery started in the 1400s. Think about that. When they was buying us from Portugal and Spain. Portugal and Spain was the first ones to come down there to looking for us. All right. During the Roman Empire, during the Iron Empire, it was only 1% of slaves, and I showed y'all that in the other video. So y'all just go and keep surfing through them videos, and y'all gonna see these things. Right. Wonder why that year. There's another Bible translation in that year too, Mashpaka. In that year right there. There's a 1619 translation. When they say the colony of Virginia was an English, later British colonial settlement in North America between 1606 and the 1611 version. The 1611 version came from them studying them scrolls from our ancestors down there before we was really starting being brought into slavery. All right, they came down there and studied our language first, studied our customs, and they got help to bring us on in here. Now check this out. It say, look at this right here. Divide and rule policy, or divide and conquer. They say this is all made up. And I'm going to prove it to you. They say it's a hoax. Policy or divide and conquer. They divided us and they conquered. They still doing it right now. In politics, like they divide and conquer us in politics. And I'm finna show you what they did in the politics to divide and conquer us. In politics and in sociology. And that's why when our ancestors were brought over here, they was forced not to speak their language. Is gaining and maintaining power divisively. Look at this here, Hamanaki here. And maintaining power diversity divisively. It means with trickery. This includes the exploitation of existing divisions within a political group by its political opponents. So in order for them to divide us, to bring us into slavery, they had to look at our stuff that we had going on over there, and they had to use it against us. That's why when you see in the 1600s, after the destruction of the Roman government, it took a blow. It didn't destroy them all the way, but they took a great hit. the Iron Government, that one was over. Now we into the Iron and Clay Government. So the next one was to come up was the Iron and Clay Government. And under all these governments, they was bothering Israel. Maintaining power. Now the one with the Greeks, they bothered the Mouserium first. They had to divide and conquer. So maintaining power divisively. This includes the exploitation. There we go. The exploitation of existing divisions within a political group by its political opponent, or they will create one for you. And also the deliberate creation of strengthening of such division. So we wonder why the LGBTQ got so strong, Mashpakal. Why was the LGBTQ so strong? Here you go. The Virginia colony, right here. And it says the British West Indies, BWI, were colonized British territories in the West Indies. Florida was a part of the British ownership as well. In the West Indies, and Anguilla, I think that's Angola, the Cayman Islands, Turks, and Caicos Islands, Montserrat, the British Virgin Islands, Antigua and Barbuda, and the Bahamas, the Barbados, Dominic, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Kitts. Britain was running all that. So you got to look at this here. There's the Iron and the Clay Confederates. They together, but they not together. Think about that. Who has been summoned to the Virginia colony by local slave owners, not by local loving people that they love so much that they gave them the gospel and they, by local slave. I keep doing that. I can't do it like that. So let me go back. By local slave owners to advise them on the problems they have been having in managing their slaves. So now you're going to look at the problems and we're going to see what they chose to do. He briefly notes, so they had a problem. Think about it. Think. He briefly notes that their current violent method of handling unruly slaves, lynching, hanging them on trees like they did in Rome, is an extrajudicial killing by a group. It is most often used to characterize informal public executions by a mob in order to punish an alleged transgressor. Punish and convicted transgressor and intimidate people. It can also be extreme form of informal group social control. And it often, though the term is not used, it is inefficient and counterproductive. Inefficient and counterproductive. Instead, he suggests that they adopt this method, which consists of exploiting differences such as age and skin, color in order to pit slaves against each other. This method, he assures his host, will control the slaves for at least 300 years. It has been 400 years. Some online versions of this text attach instructions such as forward attributed to Frederick Douglass, one of our ancestors. Brother Umar, brother Ifatunde say this is his ancestor, and he said he has documented proof of it. Frederick Douglass, he got his school he's setting up. Frederick Douglass, he got the Frederick Douglass school that he's setting up. Was an American social reform in it. I think he said he got it already set up. Abolitionist, orator, writer, and statesman. He became the most important leader. So this is not made up history here. Right here. He was fighting against a lot of stuff. What was he fighting against? Leader of the movement, and we was not called no African American back then because we were not considered no citizen. So we was not called no African, nor was we called an American. That is a newer thing. That is something that somebody else put in. This is something that somebody do. This is an updated version, 16th century, about what was going on back then. So this elder right here, he wasn't living during the days where we in right now. He wasn't. He didn't go to your high school and see your grandmama sitting in there. You know, he didn't see the retired teacher that's receiving a pension right now. He didn't see them. But if they great grandfather and them was down here, then he saw them. Which means he saw them. So this right here, this text speech was at least 1970, they say, and it's often published. So that's a publishing date does not always mean that's the date that it was created, Mashpakal. Because I could create a work in elementary school, and my mother could give it to me, and when I publish it, it'll say the publishing date on there, and then I could put on there the date it was created. But the publishing date does not always indicate the time it was of its creation. Just like they got Bibles that's printed in 2022, it doesn't, or 1611. It don't mean that that's exactly when that book was written, when those scrolls were written. It's insignificant. It's a color in order to pit slaves against one another. The method, and so we're gonna see that they did do it. All right, so let me get out of this, and let me go to where they did it. Here we go. So now, gender and symbolism. I'm trying to take my time so we can do this right. Gender and symbolism. So as you can see right here, symbolism and gender symbols was always in school. When I was in school, I saw this symbol right here. I saw this symbol. So what was it that we all had in common that they wanted to make us divided in, Mashpaka? If anything, we knew that Adam and Eve, Adam wa Hawa, was a male and a female. They found something that we all can agree on, that we was coming together on, that we all came from Adam, that we was all from Adam. You see that? And so what they did, even back in the day, they knew that we all knew that we was Israelites. So what did they do? Now, let's go back to here. Gender symbol. A gender symbol is a pictogram or glyph. I think hieroglyph. is a kind of purposeful mark in typography. So it's a symbol. And when you look at this symbol right here, you see this? You see this? So we're going to go back here to the symbols. And it say right here, pictogram. It's like you can see the picture right there. The man riding on the horse. If they say we supposed to be under them always, then this is supposed to be us. And this is supposed to be them. Please drive slowly. We know what this symbol means. If you is a person that just came off the plantation, what is this? When you see a person ride on a horse, that's normally not no Negro riding on no horse. Unless you're looking at Nat Turner. They say a pictogram, and you think they wanted Nat Turner to ride on the horse? All right. Used to represent sex, sexual deformation. So you see, they came up with a plan. They had it in the making. When we started to come together as a people, and we was all saying to everybody when we found out who we was because y'all showed us, we said, hey, y'all, we Israelites. We Israelites. When did this LGBT movement come out? First, they came out with something else that we all could agree on. Black Lives Matter. You see what I'm saying? And then somebody came in and infiltrated that, and they said all life matter. That's something else we can agree on. So if some of us went to the all life matter, some of us said it ain't no problem with homosexuality because my religion don't teach this. So even religions taught us to separate from what our ancestors knew as the law, statute, or commandment. Now, many of us say, well, that with a law, statute, commandment is a problem because it's many religions. But if you don't want to go back to the original, then we say, well, I'm Kemetic, but the Kemetic people weren't the one brought over here in slavery. They tell you inside of the history book that Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro. All right? And look at here. LGBT was set up for you. For us, because the brain division. All this right. Look at the colors. It don't matter if you're black or white. That ain't what... Identity politics. So through politics, politicians, you know, they said this is what the willingness was set up and structured to do. LGBT, so that they can always keep control over the slaves in the plantation that they purchased when they gave the slave masters reparations after they had purchased us, when Abraham Lincoln had said that we was free and got murdered inside of the white or wherever he was. And then they said that we were free. And then there was another president that came up after them, and he revoked the Slave Act when he wrote down the 14th Amendment. Then when that amendment came in, they said they could seize property, and we was not considered as property under that, so we don't have no constitutional rights. Even right now, a lot of us think that we got a constitution, no right, but that constitution was not originally written for you. That's why you have amendments. That's why you have an amendment. It amends. It's supposed to amend a right of another law. But when you see an amendment, if they don't enforce the amendment, just like when you say you cannot discriminate because of color, but they don't tell you. But when you look on the application, you still got to put on there that Darwin theory that separates you by color. Think about it. So we're not under no. All right. Mantisa. And if they were saying it was about white and black skin, it's only about that when it comes down to you. But if a person from Africa, from the tribe of Ham, he can't be from no Israelite tribe. He can't be from God or whatever unless he's gonna be a Sambo. But you could put on your application white people. You could put white people on there and they will acknowledge you as white because you got it on there. And the government made sure that we couldn't put white on our application when they was making these race classes. So y'all see that this was all created by this right. This was another form of confusion just to keep us separated and always going at each other. So you know that people that believe in what the words say is going to fight against this. So why was they using this? Why didn't they just use something that has nothing to do with one of the things that people have to do in order to be a nation? So they call separation and division. Then they actually, you see that they did it because they actually gave them money. They paid LGBTQ members money. And they know that that's what Negroes was asking for. But they gave that to LGBTQ, elemental P, QRXTUZ. Then they turned around and gave it to the Asians. Because when you read in the prophets, it say that the stranger shall come in and get up higher than you. So they say, okay, well, we're going to put the strangers up even higher than them right now because they was already over us. But we're going to put them up even higher. Let's divide and conquer. There you go. Because a lot of us were saying, Black life matter, Black life matter, Black life matter, Black life matter, Black life matter. So what they did is they did something to cause division. So now remember when all of the Africa was trying to open up the borders and everything, and all of a sudden something coming. Everybody's, so you got to think about this stuff. So let's go right here. Look at what Elohim did when people was trying to do something that they ain't had no business doing. Because he gave all of us land and lot of inheritance. All right? Land, lot of inheritance. And many people will believe that that's a transgression to have land, lots of inheritance. But the White House, they don't ever get evicted out of the White House, even though it's different people that come in there, or it might be the same person coming there for 2 terms. But when they leave out of there, the White House don't go into foreclosure. The Senate don't go into foreclosure. Ooh, Yahweh. Why the bank ain't going to foreclosure like that? Why the bank is still right? They went right to foreclosure. Let her out. So you got Barashayah chapter 11. Divide and conquer. That right, bruh? Now Sister Private C and Brother Moshe Ben Yehuda, Ox Skeletor, Sister Naomi, Sister Shay, Sister Shay Love, Valentina hiding in the back somewhere. The Tower of Babel, the Tower of Confusion. How did they learn how to divide? See, the devil, anytime the devil see Yahweh do something, he try to imitate it. You remember when Hashatan said to Hamashiach, if you be the son of Elohim, turn these stones into bread. Now let's go here, because he does do that. Tower of Babel, Tower of Confusion. Yahweh had to confuse them. And the whole earth was of one Lashawan, of Achad Lashan, one language, Lashan, not Lashawan yet, Achad Lashan, one language, Abar. And the whole earth, the whole Arats, was of one Lashan, one tone, and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, everybody journeyed from the east. So they say life did not start. Oh, wait a minute now. So they journeyed from the east. From the east. That they found a plain. They journeyed from the east. So they left from the east. And they found a plain in the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. So if you leave from the east, going to your left, Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. So people knew how to build. Burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and tower, whose top may reach into Shamayam. So they wanted to make a name for themselves. They wanted to build a memorial. And let us make a sham. Let us make a sham, a memorial. Let us make a name for ourselves. So they wouldn't be called by the names of their fathers. They wouldn't be called by the name of Sham. If you was from the nations of Sham, you wouldn't be called from the land. You wouldn't be named Ham, or you wouldn't be named Foot. You wouldn't be named none of that. You wouldn't be named none of that. They wanted one name. And they said, go to, let us build us a city. And a tower whose top may reach unto Shamayam. So whose authority may reach even to Shamayam. They wanted to make themselves a new one. They was fighting against the order that Yah had set up. See, Yah set them up. He said, be ye fruitful and multiply. He gave the Asha to the Ayash, him to be married to her. Not that one rule over everybody, but that we all rule over our own household. That's why he called him Ayash, and he called the woman Asha. He is whom Yahweh made to be the leader over the Asha, because the Asha came from the rib of Adam. All right, and he made Asha to be the wife, the bride of Adam. And it also shows forth the glory of Elohim, how he works with us. He say, whose top may reach unto Shamayam. He wanted to rule even over the rule. And let us make a sham, make us a sham. So they wanted to bara a sham. They wanted to create a sham, create a name, an identity, a confederacy, a nation, a name, like what a lot of people is doing now, and a lot of us is doing it out of ignorance, lest we be scattered abroad. So they knew that if they didn't make all their own names and be ruled under by one man, Nimrod, they're going to be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. Lest we be scattered abroad, lest we be scattered abroad. So when you got your own name, your own family house, and your own nation to take care of, then you scatter. Well, and we're going to see how this works. Lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And Yahweh, that they say you can't say his name because his name is too holy for you to speak, but Masha wrote it all up and down throughout there. And Yahweh wrote his name. I am Yahweh. I am Alawahayim. I am your Alahayim. And Yahweh came down to see the city. You know, the one with the name, Yahweh, the one with the legacy that stood by his legacy, his name, and his reputation of his name. And if somebody else come to me and say, Calvin Lee Sr. ain't your daddy. I'm your daddy, because that don't matter. My name is Christopher Columbus. Calvin Lee Sr. is not your daddy. I'm your daddy. Your name shall be Columbus. Say your name is Columbus. They divided us with names. They got some of us to believe that having a name don't make no difference. So we was fighting about names, when having a name is a part of elementary learning. Because the first thing you ask somebody is name. What's your name? You don't try to change the person's name. You accept that person's name, but we have been given names that was not our names. And we're being told to hold fast to those names and hold fast to the name that we was given as a replacement name. And Lord translate to by a law. And Yahweh said, behold, the people is one. He didn't say the monkey is one. The Homo sapien is one. And they have all Achad Lashon, one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. So it was the imagination of a man's heart. Go to it. Let us, Alahayim speaking, let us go down there and confound their Lashon. So the first thing that Yahweh did, he looked at what they was doing, trying to bring everybody together as the same people. And he was against that, because that's against how he created Adam. He said, be ye fruitful and multiply, and replenish and subdue the earth. You are created to rule over the creation, not the creation to rule over you. And there confound their language. So he changed their languages, that they may not understand one another's speech. So they cannot get on one accord with one another's speech. So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build a city. So everybody that spoke Espanol, they went all and they did what you see how they was trying to build this Tower of Babel thing? The Spanish people went and did their own nation building, because that's what Yahweh wanted. That's his will. That was his will, that they build on the Chatayam nation and the other nations. But so this right here is a war against Alahayim Mashpachah. So when you see the Native of Americans say that they love their culture, this is their country, they came here, or you have a nation that's down there in another place that say this is our country, this is ours, this ours, so nobody else don't supposed to come in here and have colonial rule, which means rule like Nimrod rule. Colonial rule means Nimrodic rule over us. We have our language. We're building together. We understand one another. So the first thing they do is come in and divide and conquer. They made us not speak our language. They said our language is a dead language. So think about the two languages that they said is dead. Ancient Assyrian and ancient Hebrew. Assyrian is a sister language of the Abar. So you have the Assyrian that I learned from listening to a brother that comes from one of Abraham's son. And I posted the video up. Let me go and look. Ammon. It comes from Ammon. Assyrian comes from Ammon. So look here. Understand one another's speech would mean you don't understand what one another's saying. So when they said "Como estas," we didn't understand what they were saying. A lot of us still don't know what they're talking about. even though we over there thinking that we speak in Spanish. All right. What do dendelo decompose mean? What is this? Do we know? So Yahweh scattered them abroad. This is how they scattered you. You got this plantation here, you got to speak this language. This plantation here, you speak a Creole. This one, you speak this, you speak that, you speak of this, you speak of that. But the main language that everybody got to speak is English. So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the sham of it called Babal, because Yahweh did their confounded languages. When he confounded the languages, he brought unity to the people to whom the languages were confounded. Their families went to their lots of inheritances as Yahweh had desired. And family, this is all that I want to bring out today. All right. And I'm glad that y'all came and showed up. And I want to say Thawadah to all of the Mashkan that came, the temple, the Quahal, the set apart tabernacle of Yahweh that came and showed love today. And I want to just tell y'all, thank y'all again. I really appreciate this. And that was the message today. That was the message today. Please like and share this message, Mashpaka. And I'm going to let y'all hear audio of someone one more time that's telling y'all about the Willie Lynch. And then after that, I'm going to get off of here, Mashpaka. So we're going to hear about Willie Lynch. All right. So stages of a bar. But let me show you the language first so that y'all will know that I'm not making this up and I'm not telling y'all something that's based on something that's not true. So let me go to the ancient Hebrew plurals and the ancient Hebrew alphabet, the Alap Bayath. I think I should leave off with that. The Alap Bayath and the ancient plurals. So let's go there. In this section, we are going to deal with plurals. The ancient Hebrew language, like many other languages, contains masculine and feminine identities. You cannot make verbs adverbs or adjective plural. However, you can make noun plurals. Masculine plurals will contain yam, and feminine plurals will contain wath. Masculine, yam, and verb. In this section, we are going to deal with plurals. The ancient Hebrew language, like many other languages, contains masculine and feminine identities. You cannot make verbs adverbs or adjective plural. However, you can make noun plurals. Masculine plurals will contain yam, and feminine plurals will contain wath. Masculine, yam.
Yum.
Feminine, wath.
Wath.
In English, to make a plural out of a nouns, one would add s or es to the end of the word. Ancient Hebrew follows the same rule. To masculine plurals would have the yam attached to the end of the word, and the feminine plurals would have the wath attached to the end of the word. Most of the time, with dealing with ancient Hebrew, words will usually be masculine because ancient Hebrew is masculine-dominated language. However, if women are speaking or a man is addressing a group of women, one will use a feminine rules. If there were 10 women and 2 men, one would use the masculine rules because the masculine rules dominate the feminine rules. In the scriptures, the Most High created man. And doesn't mean he created a man only. The Most High included the woman also. The Most High uses the masculine rules when dealing with the whole family. Below are some examples of use masculine and feminine plurals. There are certain words that are exceptions to the rules. For example, the word Zion, which means weapon. You cannot make it masculine plural. The na at the end of the word makes it follow the feminine rules. So to pluralize, Zion would add the wa, which would make it Zion wa. Any words that end in na or end in tha can only be pluralized in the feminine form. A, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, tha,